let's sort of go back to the beginning, and with the idea of making this comedy in Spanish with Rick Farrell. So how do you go from that idea to making sure that it's not a sort of a one joke film?
Yeah. Well, that was definitely the forefront from the very beginning. I mean, Will wanted to make a Spanish movie, and there were, frankly, a lot of people who didn't want to make that movie because they were afraid of just that thing, and I was one of them. But I started to drive around LA, and I started to think about opportunities and ways to do a lot of different crazy stuff within the movie, enough left turns to make it interesting that I came around and saw a way to do that. But definitely that was a fear from the beginning. So, I can't answer for the audience, so I don't know, but hopefully they see the film as something a little more ambitious than just a one-note movie.
Just sort of, how many drafts did it take before you felt that you had a shooting script? I mean, you go back and you look and go, well, this is going to work, or this isn't going to work.
This is one of the great things with working with Will, and this is one of the joys of this movie. The first draft was the movie we shot. Now I will say that that as a self-editor, not only the editing process afterwards, which Matt butchered my script. I would say that along the way we added things that we sought opportunities. Like we had no scene where Gael and Diego were in it together, and now that's my favorite scene. It was ridiculous to have the two in the movie and not put them together, and so it's like, oh yeah, I'm not an idiot. Let's get this going. So things changed a little bit as we were moving along. We had a little punch-up session with all of our friends, but basically the draft that I wrote was the draft you see.
We spoke to Will last week in Dallas, and he mentioned, someone else tried to ask him about the Muppets or the puppets that you used.
Right.
And he didn't know much because I guess you were the one who actually did that.
Yeah,
he said Matt, but...
No, that's Matt. Yeah. That's okay.
Idiot.
Yeah, it was us. Look, that was in the script, but then we had to find who was going to do that.
And we somehow had a link to the Henson Company. I don't know how that...
That was Funny or Die.
I guess it was.
We knew the Henson people.
So we went over to the Hensons and the Henson Company and for dinner. The Hensons for dinner. And basically said we need, do you have anything lying around? They had a tiger actually that was used, I think, on The Hangover, and it was a really good.
Yeah.
I go, can you paint that way? They go, you can't paint that way. You got to reskin it. I go, well, could you reskin it? And they go, well, that would cost a fortune. They're gracious enough to allow it, and they redid the face with the white fur and got their puppeteers involved for literally the $5 we gave them, and we're embracing it completely, and we couldn't have been happier. We big fan of all things analog, and even to have them involved was great, and to have them say yes, you can use one of our animals and we'll puppet it. It was amazing.
But it looks low budget. It's not. So how did you approach that with them? Like, we don't want it to look like super awesome. We just want it to look like a low budget version.
Given the time constraints and the budget constraints, we already knew the best they could do was going to look low budget.
Okay.
Because generally when you're doing something with the Hensons like Yoda or something, you're taking days and days and days and probably enhancing it in After Effects. With all those things, we didn't have the budget for that.
No, and I guess in those animatronics too, even with that animal, what they had in the face had, you could move a whisker. And that's all very complex. But on this, they said, well, we can't use any of that. What if we do our hand? So they can only give us so much. Anyway, we can give you the eyes, because all the pneumatic stuff, I guess they could give. So it was limited as to what they could give it, because if they had used their full energy behind it, it would have been, down to like little stuff moves, and they go, no, we can't give you that, because that's like computers.
Yeah.
That's a really big thing. So we were happy that they graciously decided to be in to ruin the Henson Company by appearing in our film. Yeah.
So it was supposed to look like a white tiger.
White.
What was it supposed to? Because I guess there's a little controversy, at least for me.
Snow leopard. Oh, what? Controversy?
I work at a zoo with zoo animals, so when I saw it, I thought white tiger.
Okay, you know better than us.
but it's a mythical white.
Wouldn't it defeat the whole purpose, though, if you had something that looked like it cost $300,000? The look that you try
our
to achieve.
sensibility is that. So yeah.
It would defeat to even like a lot of these things they would do after the fact, even with a puppet, and do some computer enhancement.
Yeah.
No, that defeats the purpose.
We have no CGI. We have no After Effects.
We didn't even sync up the voice.
Yeah.
So did you have to do a crash course in
Telenovela.
Telenovela?
I don't think, I don't
Much
think
better.
I don't think anyone has to do a crash course in that, because I think
You see one, yeah.
you just see them. They're ubiquitous. We see them in the background. You're flipping through the channels. I did watch a lot, just to take it in, but I don't speak Spanish, so. But there's just too many. The iconography of those things are just too omnipresent. We see them all the time, and I think we definitely drew on that, but we tried to keep away from a parody.
Yeah, I think taking that as the jumping off point and loving melodrama, but then going beyond that, I think that when you spoke about the one joke thing, I think if we were doing a parody of a telenovela, which is never what Andrew wrote, it wouldn't have worked. I don't think it would have got old pretty quickly. So we both wanted to encompass spaghetti western,
I think
classic Hollywood, and films of Alejandro Jodorowsky for the trip out sequence, and a lot of highbrow, pretentious things that we like that we could throw into the movie.
So neither of you speak Spanish? Or?
No.
Yeah.
So then, I know Will took some Spanish, a crash course in Spanish leading up to the shooting.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how you actually shot that. I mean, did he need some help on the set between takes? Or?
Well, we call it like a 22-day fever dream, because he would, he learned things phonetically and had his translator and dialect coach, Patrick Perez, would drive with him in the morning in the car, and Will would be frantically, trying to memorize these and in the proper way. And then at the end of the day, when it's like, whew, I got to do it again. So our only hindrance on the set would be to check with the translator that he pronounced a word correctly, because obviously we wouldn't know. Oh, that was great. Like, no, he said this word wrong. Because the trick was we wanted, Will also wanted to be where he did everything live on set. There was no overdubs. The trick is everything you see on screen is actually Will Ferrell speaking correctly in Spanish.
I only caught a couple of them that,
Did you?
that I kind of giggled.
Oh, well, okay,
I
good.
was like, okay, I don't want to.
And that was okay too, because that's part of the character a little
Yeah.
bit, which is fine.
Yeah,
So,
Diego
but
was always a little bit like, it's good, it's really good, just a little off.
Yeah, which is goes with the character thing.
Yeah.
No, but amazingly, what he learned in the matter of time, he did really well. Were there any challenges in getting all of the other actors on board that you did? Gael, Diego, Genesis.
It was really challenging. I mean, it was a dream cast when you put together something like that, and you laugh saying, "What if we got Gael Garcia Bernal and
Right,
Diego Luna?" But you kind of say that it's like, "What if you get Daniel Day-Lewis?" You say these things, and it's like,
Right.
"Yeah," and people get excited, and then it's like, "No, we don't want to do this. What are you talking about?" But send them the script and talk to them both. I think Diego's in Mexico and Gael was shooting in Russia or something, some film in Georgia or something, and. They loved the script and they got what we were going for. They really liked the kind of political angle, and you can only hope for stuff like that. And then a lot of times it's scheduling, like maybe they were shooting and they couldn't. We had a specific time where Will's schedule was free, and so Diego and Gael both came on, and we were thrilled. But yeah, I mean, what an amazing thing that happened.
You've never, sorry.
No,
You've never seen Gael and Diego in a comedy like this together,
Right.
Or really, I can't remember seeing at least Gael in a comedy such as
Now,
Right, I think they enjoyed that little stretch too. I think they got to do some interesting
Diego
stuff.
says it rejuvenated his his interest in acting, because I love what he described it as. He's not just Diego Luna playing Raul Alvarez. He's playing a bad actor playing Raul Alvarez. So he goes, everything I usually would do and worry about, I didn't worry about. And it's very freeing. And I saw in the interview, he goes like, now I will only act if I get to do that again, to have total freedom, which I don't know where else is going to find.
Yeah, right. No.
But we were happy to have those guys. And they're instinctually, they were hilarious. Kind of like Diego's like a young Peter Sellers. We were, and Gael's, all their choices were spot on, acting-wise, for people who don't usually do comedy.
Right, people would have a
natural
tendency to yuck it up or try to be
they didn't
funny,
at all.
and they were very smart.
Diego was spot on as the character. Spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, the clothing, the attitude, everything else. So
Yeah,
Like a young Pacino.
anyone looking at it that knows that culture.
Yeah, he got
So
it.
good, so good.
I mean, it was like
He
there was
certainly
no
knows that
acting
culture.
to it.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to comment on, I noticed that you had Genesis' dad singing.
Oh, yeah, we love that.
We collect records both, like, it's not like we're an old married couple, we're not, but we respectively collect records, and we were told that Genesis' dad was El Puma, who I'm sure we each had in our collection, we subsequently found, but then the idea was to have that wedding scene, and what if her dad was the wedding singer, which, American audience may not know, but when that comes on for Latino and Hispanic, they love that.
When we showed it in Miami, it was like they see him and they're just like, and, we didn't know how big he was. We thought he was big.
Oh,
Yeah, no, he's
like,
gigantic.
He's pretty big, so it's like.
I know the special moment Genesis says too, like she goes, do you know how much that means to have my dad? I mean, she's getting married in the film and he's singing and they share a scene together. It was a cool moment, and I'm glad we have that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun little thing, I think.
He was pretty cool to come on. And
He's what a great guy in the world. Like he couldn't have been cooler or nicer.
Yeah, easy to work with.
And when he came in and recorded the version of Watershed or Pale too, he's like,
That was classic.
old school pro that you just just classy, just a classy guy.
Yeah.
Is the song they perform at the end, during the end credits, is that going to be going up online? Because I know with the other guys, they had the
It might,
tremendous.
that feels exactly like the kind of thing. I mean, we have a lot of little outtakes and things that we might want to throw into DVD extras and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. There's like an hour of deleted
But
scenes.
that is exactly the kind of thing that we'll put out there.
Explain the commercial at the end of the credits.
We can't explain it.
You know why? It's inexplicable. Talk about a waste of the audience's
But
time.
that's the spirit of the film. We're out there with somebody else's money shooting something that's pretty crazy, and it's like, you know what? While we're out here,
That was part of the sequence that Dan Haggerty was in that got cut from the movie. But while we're out here, we kept adding stuff, saying, and we're already on the tightest schedule, but we're saying, well, let's leave it all on the field and see if we lose the game, we don't want to say we didn't just go nuts. So I like it too that it's so random and it had really anything to do with the movie at all. But if people stay to the end, I think they're going to scratch their heads, but I think some people will find that pretty enjoyable.
I was like, what does this have to do with the rest of the movie? Nothing.
You got it. Nothing.
Okay.
Don't worry.
So how far back do you guys go with Will? You both worked on Saturday Night Live?
I came in the exact time he came in 95.
I came in a year
Matt
later.
came in a year later, and then we just wrote together and did stuff together I was there for 13 years. Will
was there for 6.
Right, so you and Will basically mirror each other. But yeah, we worked together closely all those years.
And we shared an office at SNL.
Yeah.
So when Will comes in, I mean, you'd been there for a while, so you had an idea when a cast member came in whether they were going to stick or not. Was that evident?
No, I came in at the exact same time as Will.
sorry, my fault.
But I think Will was an interesting flavor over there, because I think there were people who were like, he's too plain, he's not very interesting, and I immediately responded to him. I immediately thought, I'm not going to sound like a genius, because as a casting person, I'd probably be terrible, but I immediately thought Will was a funny genius, and I knew that he was someone who was kind of special.
Yeah, and he's proven that, obviously.
Yeah.
So I guess there's an element of improv always in Will Ferrell comedies.
Right.
And we kind of talked to him about he couldn't really do that. So what was it like to not have that sort of element in this film?
Funny.
Yeah, I mean,
Handcuff the guy.
we have a perverse joy of the three of us get together too, of pushing Will and he pushes back. And so it's kind of this, and we know, like, I'm not going to have you do that. We go, no. I think the first day of shooting, it was like some 40-page monologue that Andrew had written, like he had to do. And we always like, when Rocky had to fight Southpaw, it's like you're taking away the guy's magical gift and then forcing him to do that. Like, well, now what do you got? Comedy guy?
Yeah.
But he's like, but he wants that. And, he was sweating bullets, but in the best sense of the word, meaning it was a challenge he wanted to do. He loved that. And we loved that too, so it was fun.
Yeah.
So is there room for a sequel? If
A prequel.
A prequel.
Yeah.
That's.
I like it. Goes back to my, there is a room for a sequel for Matt and I, because we can spin off anything. But does Will want to speak Spanish again?
Yeah, he made that.
Well, if you make $100 million.
Do Japanese, Korean accents.
There's a price for everything.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, when you want to make a sequel like Anchorman,
Right.
they won't let you make a
I
sequel.
don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's put it this way: Anchorman will happen before the sequel.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Yeah, I think probably Will's done speaking Spanish forever. I would imagine.
Yeah.
So what target audience are you going for with this film? Because obviously I don't think everyone's going to get it.
We like that it's sitting here. We didn't originally plan for it to be here. Sort of a last-minute screening that we want to do, and this is the audience.
It is the perfect
This is the
audience.
audience. It's a film geeky audience. And
film
so-
literate audience and also the the Spanish speaking audience. But I think it's really people that appreciate it. So it's a little different, and you're right. I think with great respect,
Yeah.
the entertain mall people who just wanted to pass the time, I think are probably not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about this last question?
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Genesis. You have the introducing Genesis, but we saw her in Man on Ledge.
first.
We did shoot that first.
Yeah, but
I know.
we've seen her.
I know.
So,
That actually is a better joke now.
Yeah.
so can you tell us a little bit about how you found her? And obviously she's perfect for the role. So, but
She was just through the audition process, the casting agent Allison Jones, and we had a lot of big names wanted to do it. I don't say that but we wanted to find someone, and she was the first person that we auditioned. And she comes from a telenovela background, and she made the smart choice to play it completely straight. She cried on cue, and it was a scene, and it was just making us laugh really hard. And I think she says she didn't know if she was messing up, like having an American Idol moment where she's singing off key and thinking she's being great, and everyone's laughing at her. But she was perfect, and as we saw everyone, she became kind of the one to beat, and I think she nailed it, and it was comfortable being like, we say she's kind of the straight man in the movie, and so she did it beautifully. So we were very happy to have her.
yeah, it was good to see her in that because after Man on Ledge, I just felt that she was there just to look pretty and undressed when necessary. So
Yeah.
she really.
That's the easy
She's
part.
better than that.
Yeah, no, much better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Thanks for all the enthusiasm.